These are the absolute most heartbreaking plays and moments in NFL history, starting of course with the Saints vs Rams playoff game back in January 2019. There's just under 2 minutes left in the clock with the game tied at 20. Third down and 10, Brees throws and falls to the ground incomplete. Waiting, and no flag. Saints fans would be absolutely destroyed by that since they would be forced to kick the field goal and the Rams would end up tying the game next drive and winning it on overtime. The worst part is we could have had a Brady vs Brees Super Bowl, but instead we got to see this. Speaking of the Super Bowl, how could we not mention how heartbreaking Super Bowl 51 was for Falcons fans? They went into halftime winning by 18 and managed to get themselves up 28-3 in the third quarter. The game went into the final period with the Patriots still trailing by 19, but somehow they kept scoring and the Falcons kept making critical mistakes, which would ultimately lead them to the biggest choke of all time. They weren't the only ones to choke though, as the Texans tried their best to replicate it back in January of 2020 when they faced the Chiefs in the divisional round of the playoffs. After a hot start, they managed to get themselves up 24-0 in the second quarter. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs then proceeded to have the quickest turnaround I've ever seen. All Kansas City needed was 4 possessions and 16 plays to get themselves up by 4 going into halftime. The second half was a clinic as Andy Reid's team outscored Houston 23-7, ending the game with a score of 31-51. All that after the Texans were up by 24 at one point. But choking a lead isn't the only way you can get heartbroken. Just ask the 2021 Detroit Lions, who fought all game long against the Ravens to ultimately take a 1-point lead with just over a minute left in regulation. 3 disastrous downs by Baltimore had them in a 4th-and-19 situation all the way back to their 16-yard line. Oh, and without timeouts and pretty much no time left. The Ravens somehow converted and now it's time for a miracle. In order to win, the Ravens would need Justin Tucker to break the record for the longest field goal ever. So there it goes, a 66-yard field goal which hits the crossbar and then goes in. There's literally no worse way to lose than in a record-breaking miracle like this one. Or is it? Well, this one maybe isn't as bad, but it's certainly painful. The Browns were leading the Jets early this season while needing just a first down to hit the clock and win it. Nick Chubb, however, decided it was a better idea to score a touchdown, giving the Browns a 2-score lead with just under 2 minutes to go. Spoiler alert, it was an awful idea. Just 2 plays later, the Jets scored a 66-yard touchdown to get themselves within 1 score, and after that they also managed to somehow recover the onside kick with just over a minute left in regulation. New York would then march down the field and eventually Garrett Wilson would get another touchdown to get the Jets up by 1, winning the game. All that turnaround while the Browns would have won had Nick Chubb slided down at the 1. And well, that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, you'll probably enjoy the one on screen as well. Anyways, thanks for watching and see you next time.